X grew up on late-night warnings.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Scared, straight.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
And were inspired by movies that defined a generation.
We were all pretty bizarre. Some of us are just better at hiding it, that's all.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
I feel the need for speed.
We found our attitude in comedy.
I'm Gumby, damn it.
You see that sign?
No shirt, no shoes,
No dice.
Right. Learn it. Know it. Live it.
And our identity in pop culture.
I want my MTV!
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
What you talking about, Willis?
Keep your feet in the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
This is Gen X Men with Bill Rowland and Gary Dollarhide.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
All right, here we go. Episode 38 of the Gen X Men podcast. Bill Rowland here, Gary Dollarhide there. Before we get going, have you had to approve any permits? Have you?
Not as of yet. I had my first meeting with a town official today to determine what I was going to do as part of my training program, and I will not be approving anything for at least 6 months.
All right, well,
I'm here to learn right now.
All right, fair enough. I was wondering last week on the episode 37, we found out Gary is going to be, what is it, the assistant building code person?
The assistant code enforcement officer.
Code enforcement officer. There you go.
So
at least 6 months.
I'm
December.
not looking at, right? I'm not looking at your framing. It's basically the basics of, you want a house? Okay, you have to do this. It has to be set back. Just kind of the more generic generalizations of the code. If you live in the village, you can only do X. If you live in the rural sections, you can do this. So it's a whole difference depending on where you are in this small town and what you can and can't do.
I want it to be the first time when you're going around and you bring out that measuring tape. And you tell somebody, back here is 15 feet and your front porch is 13 and a half. I think we're going to have to take that thing down or move it back 1.5 feet. I don't know how you're going to do that with the whole foundation. So that porch has got to go.
Well, that would have been grandfathered at this point. But I've been told of some new situations that to be on the lookout for that I'm going to have to possibly look at, deal with, because let's just face it, we're in a small enough rural town where people have the attitude of, well, I bought it, it's mine, I'm going to do what I want.
And I like that attitude.
I do like that, but the town is kind of, has some rules, so it doesn't become a free-for-all, as they say. So I get that part of it too.
No, understandable. Before we get going, as it says on my little thing, right there. I can't really do it with my camera. My finger's too big and fat. Right there where it says like and subscribe. Just like this thing says, like and subscribe.
Ooh,
right there.
We've got new toys. I like this.
Please like and subscribe. We would appreciate it. Everybody that is followed along all this time, trying to grow this thing as best we can. All right. So last week it was graduation. This week school is out or close to it. 2 more days for my fiance. Her last day is Friday. Not from school. She's done with school in college. She's definitely old enough not to still be in school, but she's a librarian there. So her last couple of days, she's just been complaining about carrying books and refiling books and carrying more books and all that kind of stuff. End of the year where kids have finally gone through their locker, we're like, oh, here's that book that they've been looking for the past 5 months. I should probably turn this back in. So that's all been going on. They also use the library for the kids that turn in all their computers and all that other stuff. So it got us to thinking about when we were Gen X, you didn't have, and at least none of my friends had, this whole idea that they do now where your summer is planned out pretty much for the entire summer. I mean, I'm serious. I was just what was it? Like and subscribe bell there.
We got someone.
Somebody already subscribed and like. It's awesome. Just a few days ago, my soon-to-be sister-in-law, so my fiance's sister, was over here visiting because her parents, because they're like everybody's Gen X parents, are older now, and they needed, somebody to kind of keep an eye on them. So they're living with us now, which is cool. We got a big enough house. It's not a big deal. So her sister comes over to visit and brought her nephew with her. And so we were talking. They also have a daughter that's going to be a senior, I think, coming up. I think she just finished her junior year. Anyway, so we're talking about, hey, what are you going to be doing this summer? I asked him if, because he was playing soccer. I was like, you playing some soccer this summer or whatever? And he was like, no, I'm doing this camp. So he's working. He's not getting paid, unfortunately, because he's just a counselor in training. But like his whole summer is already planned out. Like they already know we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. And I'm like, we had jobs. I get that part of it. But like I talked to other friends who have younger kids and they're like, oh, we're trying to find 2 weeks here and we got another week here. And I'm like, for what? Like, what are they going to do all summer? But that's what everybody does. Nobody sits around at home in the summer anymore.
Yeah. Well, it also depends on your age group. I remember with my son, his mother and I were both working. So we had to find day camps for him, which is very big up here, right? It's babysitting. Let's call it what it is. But they get to go somewhere and do fun things. But I noticed as he got older, him and other friends, they had all these plans of we're going here, we're doing this, we're not working. And it just made me go, it's a little bit different. I mean, there was times up until a certain age, you could say that I led the leisurely summer life. My father traveled for work. So a lot of times in the summer, I would hop in the car and go with him down to the Carolinas and through Maryland on his sales route. And then later on, which took up most of our time, is my parents joined a community center pool. And so pretty much Monday through Friday, half the weekend, we're in the pool by 10, maybe leaving 5 or 6 to go home and have dinner. And that's kind of how we spent the summer. Again, until I reached that age where I started working.
Right.
Because I had a younger sister, but she had more of that time than I did.
But I understand, but going with your dad on the work trip, you were learning valuable lessons. You were learning what it took for your dad to put food on the table, for your dad to put the roof over your head. Like you figured out, this is what is expected of an adult, that you have to work. It's not just hanging out and money just suddenly appears somewhere. So that was good that you got to figure that out. But I don't understand. Again, it does have to do with age. And I guess, my mom worked part of the time while I was growing up. And maybe that's part of it, that we had enough parents that stayed at home and neighbors that could keep an eye on you, that it wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, we had the pool. It's funny. I asked Carrie, I said, what was your summer like? Because I always like to see, she grew up in Texas. So I always like to see how similar it was, even though you're worlds away. She's down in Texas. We grew up here, me in Northern Virginia, you down there in Central Virginia. And I said, did you guys go hang out at the pool or whatever? I said, what did you? She goes, well, no, nobody really had pools in Texas in the backyard and everything. And I was like, I don't believe that. Like, you didn't have anybody you knew that had a pool growing up? I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I was like, now, we didn't have people that had pools, but like you, we went to a community pool. So we were there all the time. And she goes, and this is where I went, oh, okay. She goes, no. She's like, maybe one friend had a pool. She's like, if we wanted to go swimming, we just went to the country club.
Oh, there we go.
Right. I went, okay. She's like, yeah. She's like, we'd go play tennis, go in the pool. And I'm like,
it just got worse.
It just got an entirely different upbringing than I had then. Because we played tennis at the community pool when we were like, high school kids or whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't like country club tennis.
Yes.
It was like, hey, you want to go hit the tennis ball around? Yeah, sure. We got nothing else to do. It was that kind of thing. So I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense for them what we had. But I think her mom was an educator as well. So her mom was probably home in the summers, able to drive around. But yeah, I mean, once you were old enough, and for you, I think you said beforehand it was 14 that you were working at the grocery store, right?
Yes. And that's a whole different concept, which I learned with my son. It's whether you want to look at the times changing, where we are geographically, only certain jobs here in Maine fit for teenagers, right? You're slinging ice cream in the summer, you're working at the amusement parks, right?
Yep.
Because a lot of the other jobs that existed, what I thought back in our day, don't exist here because of minimum wage laws. And they just, they're not overly hiring a bunch of teenagers to do a lot of the jobs year round here. So it does limit them. And then when you get into the summer, it's pretty much amusement park, ice cream, maybe an extra bag boy, but it does, no one's pumping gas. It's the job market's a little bit different nowadays.
It is different. They're not having them go out and pick the blueberries.
No, well, maybe somewhere, but not where I'm at.
I was going to say, my mom growing up in Maine would always talk about her summer jobs for like babysitting, which again, that's, standard. Picking blueberries or digging the potatoes. But I think that was a little bit later on, maybe in the fall, you would go and do that on weekends. But yeah, she was doing that as jobs. But the babysitting thing, I always find interesting because like now you basically, if you were going to go hire a babysitter right now, and I only know this because coaching the girls basketball team, you talk to the kids and they talk about babysitting and everything else. They basically, these parents want them like licensed in CPR, and there's actually a whole thing.
It's a thing.
I think, as I said, I don't remember who does it, if it's the county or the Red Cross, has a whole like babysitting certificate. This is an EMT, I guess. They have a babysitting certificate that you can go and earn, and like that's what all the parents are looking for. My gosh, 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds are watching like 4 and 2-year-olds and like, okay, it is what it is. But and everybody was fine. It was okay. Nobody died that way. Nobody that I know died that way. So,
well, we live in a world of certification. So yes, the babysitting certification, and it's basically, how to deal with choking, how to do a little bit of first aid, and most importantly, how to pick up that cell phone and dial 911 if there's a problem.
True.
But, just give them a little bit of a framework, because it is designed for, again, 12, 13, 14-year-olds who are just entering whatever you want to call it, the real world, to say, hey, in the old days, you just, hey, watch them and it'll be okay. And nowadays it's giving them a little bit of a framework to work with, and like, oh, I should be aware of this and I should do that. And maybe unlike a situation I had growing up, they don't fall asleep and pay more attention to the kids they're watching for the evening. So,
see, and the babysitting thing, it wasn't weird because you saw it on television shows and you had other friends, but my parents, again, probably from lack of money more than anything, and maybe from my dad, just lack of interest of going out to like nice dinners and stuff like that. I can remember literally twice, somebody coming to the house to watch my sister and I when my parents went out to dinner. Now, I'm not talking about when I was little, because maybe they did when I was like, 2 and 3, and I just don't remember. I mean, when I was like 6, 7, 8, like prime, we need to get the babysitter so they don't like go wander the neighborhood while we're gone. And it was both times, it was one of the other moms from up the street. Otherwise, we got taken to a friend's house or whatever it was. Or quite honestly, my parents didn't go out that much.
Yeah,
so,
mine didn't either. And I think that was, again, we talk about some of the differences in the world we grew up in. My father, like I said, was gone Monday through Friday. So when he got off the road Friday, they weren't thinking about too much to do on Saturday, because Sunday was recovery day and he's got to get back on the road. They did not go out a lot.
Right.
But I know for me, when we first moved to Maine, very interesting, the going rate for babysitters was slightly more than what I was getting per hour to work.
Oh,
like it blew my mind. I was like, well, should I just babysit 40 hours a week? Is that possible? Be a professional nanny?
Yeah.
But I was just shocked now, the town we live in, granted, at the time was full of doctors and lawyers who work in Portland. So they had money. And I just heard the rates being thrown about. And I said, are you kidding me? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, again, you hear it from the kids all the time about, oh, I did pretty good. I made $60 or whatever babysitting this weekend. I'm like, wow, how long were you with the kid? And they're like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, you got $20 an hour to watch. They basically paid you to watch TV. Like that's what you did. Or if they were babysitting boys, it was you got $20 an hour to make sure that they didn't wander off and just sat and played Call of Duty or whatever.
Didn't kill each other.
And didn't kill each other. And weren't dropping, curse words while they played with their friends on the, Xbox or PlayStation. Like that's what you got $20 an hour for? I was like, you should thank your lucky stars because that's the easiest thing. That's the easiest $60 you'll ever make.
Oh, yeah. And I remember my first real job was at this little, you might as well call it a glorified 7-Eleven that was near my house, but it was an actual mini grocery store because we were in a food desert. And I think I made $3.40, $3.20 an hour. So then it just blows my mind. I know there's inflation, time had passed, but when I hear, $20, $25 an hour to babysit, I was going, what in the world? I remember when it was, hey, we're going to give you an extra 10 cents per hour. And I was like, fantastic.
Right. You're like, oh my God, I got a raise. This is amazing. Oh, no doubt. I think when my first thing, as most people growing up, I had a newspaper job delivering newspapers in the afternoon for the old Alexandria Gazette.
Ooh.
That was what I know. It was one of the longest active newspapers in the country at the point. I don't think they're around anymore now, but most newspapers have died off. But yeah, when I was delivering it, they were one. I want to say they might have been the first newspaper or one of the first newspapers in Virginia.
Oh.
And they've been around since easily the 1700s, I think it was. So yeah, I was delivering that. It was a paper that came out in the afternoon, so you get them, dropped off, and then you go deliver them or whatever. And then they had a weekend edition that showed up on Saturday mornings. But I can remember when like people would tip you 50 cents. You're like, wow, these people, man. And if you got $1 tip, forget it. It was like amazing. That you and I did it. I split it with one other guy, so we did all deliveries because I don't remember. I think we had like 120 houses that we delivered to, so we split it up, and then you would come and pool all your collection money together, and whatever you owe the newspaper, you'd put that aside, and then you'd take the other money and divide it up. And man, if we cleared $10 or $15 in tips in a week, it was like, this is fantastic. I can't believe we're making this much money. This is crazy. So now kids would absolutely scoff at that.
They throw the change back at you.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, what am I supposed to do with these? Like you can't even go play video games with them. That was the other thing. If you got 50 cents and they actually gave it to you in quarters, you're like, this is fantastic.
This is 2 games right here.
Right. I can go play a couple of games of Pac-Man or Space Invaders or whatever else was going on at that time. So yeah, absolutely. So if you're working in the summer, which most of us were, usually for me, like once I got into like college, of course, we all had the summer jobs. We had jobs around at that point. But I can remember one summer I worked, and it's funny. I was thinking of you talking about having to find stuff for your kid when he was younger. I worked. Fairfax County has something called Rec Pack, where it was basically only in the summer. It's different than some of the other programs. SAC, I think, was the after-school program in Fairfax County that they still have. But this was Rec Pack. I'm assuming it's still around, maybe not. But it's basically in the summer. It ran for about 8 weeks. And you basically were running summer camp out of the local elementary school. And you usually had 3 of you there. You had somebody who was, and again, it's all college kids. So this is amazing to me. I was probably 20 years old when I did this. And I got put in charge of Hypla Valley Elementary School, which for those that don't know, I don't know if you know where Hypla Valley.
Kind of remember.
Okay. It's up near, sort of near Route 1, up the north part of Route 1, just before you get to like Old Town Alexandria, up that way. And I'll say it, it's not a great part of Fairfax County. The east side of Fairfax County, it feeds into West Potomac High School, but there's a low-income apartment complex right across from Hypla Valley Elementary School. And that's where a lot of the kids came from. So they were, kids that maybe weren't as fortunate as other kids that are going off to summer camps and being sent away and everything else. But they were cool because they were just happy that they had some place to go during the day and hang out. But there were 3 of us, and we would have some days you'd have 55, 60 kids. And we're all we're in our 20s. We're not school teachers. We're having to come up with okay, how do we keep them organized? Because it wasn't just throw a couple balls around in the gym and let them go at it for hours upon hours. You had to have different things going on at all these different times. We did field trips with them. We did all this stuff. But I can remember I had to get there since I was the facility leader or whatever. I had to get there 8 a.m. And then the 4 o'clock was when the parents were supposed to come pick up the kids, or they would end up having to pay. Well, sometimes parents wouldn't show up till 4:30.
Oh, I forgot.
I mean, it's traffic.
No traffic. I know.
Or I couldn't get here or anything else. I mean, I had one mom. I felt terrible for her. She was a single mom, and she basically this is before cell phones. This is early 90s, and she had no way of getting in touch with me or whatever. Her car broke down. She worked in Maryland. Her car broke down in Maryland, so she didn't even get across the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. And by the time she got it fixed and everything, now you're sitting. I mean, it's bridge traffic back then. You're just sitting. And she didn't get there until 6:30. And I'm just hanging out with this kid, and he's panicked because he's again, I mean, I kind of get it. Single mom, dad's not around. He's like, I think she forgot me. And I'm like, no, man. I said, the whole time, I'm she didn't forget you. She's coming. Something probably just happened. Don't worry about it. But the emergency call, it was just her and her son. So the emergency number, you go to the office, you're calling the home number.
And she's not there.
Nobody's answering because she's not there.
Wow.
That was the one time I was like, oh boy, this kid's having a mental breakdown right here because he thinks mom dropped him off and pieced out. And I was like, she didn't do this. She's a wonderful lady. I felt bad for her. She was so apologetic. I was like, look, things happen. It's just, whatever it is. But anyway, I would do the rec pack until 4, go home, grab dinner, maybe shower, probably not, and then go right back out the door and go umpire baseball games. And do 2 baseball games and 6 o'clock and 8:30, get home at 11 o'clock, go to bed up at 6:30 and right back out. I mean, we were doing that before. I mean, everybody talks about now about, the hustle and grind and everything else. Dude,
we had side hustles.
We were the hustle and grind. That was nothing to us.
I was fortunate that the supermarket kept me busy during that stage. Then I had the greatest summer job that we all would consider was lifeguard. And I would get sent to an apartment complex about 20 miles from my house and just be all day out in the sun. Yes, you deal with the kids, but the views were great. You're working around a pool, and there was always overtime. You could always work. Like you said, you'd leave one pool. Hey, can you go fill in on the night shift Yep, I'll be there. Sure, yeah. And like I said, just work all summer. And of course, like I said, I was lucky. I went from one summer in a supermarket, one summer lifeguarding, and then the next summer started the radio career.
Right.
And that's all I did for the next umpteen years. And, summertime's busy in radio for concerts, car dealer promotions, the whole 9 yards. And it was always something going on. So the hours were plentiful.
Now, before we were off working, 50-year-old men when we were 14, how would you spend, if you're, 12, 13, you haven't had a job yet, you got the summer. We both, I had an older sister, you had a younger sibling, significantly younger for you because it was 9 years, 10 years, whatever.
9 years.
So you're probably not having to drag her around if you're going to go hang out with friends. So give me what your typical, say, Tuesday morning, you're 13. How are you spending your summer day? What's a school's out day look like?
The golden age right there. Yeah, so right. I was, for whatever reason, I had to, stay at home mom, very lucky, but I was always up first. and I go right to the TV with either my cereal or my Pop-Tarts and just get the day started. And whatever, eventually my sister would wake up, drag herself, we're talking 3 or 4, drag herself out to the living room. And then eventually my mother would get up, but we were kind of self-sufficient. And you'd spend the morning, I can't remember the full lineup, but it was all about getting to, I want to say, was it 12 noon? To get to the Price is Right. Like, there would be other game shows.
I think Price is Right was 11.
Was it 11? Okay. I just knew
11 to 12 because then at least it was for us in Northern Virginia. It was on 11 to 12 on CBS because then the news would start at 12. They had the Channel 9 news at noon. So, yeah.
Whatever it was, that was midday. It was probably 11, but I knew that was kind of the middle. This was our moment. We're going to watch Price is Right. We have to watch Price is Right because as a young man, there was nothing better than Diane Parkinson, one of Barker's beauties, growing up. So you watched that and had the bologna and cheese sandwich. And once that was done, now it's nap time for my sister. Now, I could go out with my friends who lived around, but the problem was my sister was an ornery one even back then. Well, if he's going out, she'd want to go. So we had to get her down for a nap so I could leave. Okay. So between my mother and me, rub the forehead, sing songs, she'd finally pass out because her stomach was full too from lunch. And then I'd be gone on the bike, up the street, out with friends. We're, in the fields because there's a lot of farm fields around us. There's a lot of back logging roads. It was just the afternoon of adventure until it got late. And you knew you had to come in, by 6, but sometimes you could, my mother was famous standing on the front porch and just start yelling. And hopefully I was close enough to hear it and get home at that point, but you knew you had to be home by 6 for dinner. But we were left on our own, rural Virginia. So there was no concerns like there was or is, if it's real or not, of getting taken or anything. Just out the door. We'll see you at 6 p.m.
No strangers in white vans with candy then. Is that what you're
Correct.
saying?
Yes.
That makes sense because you probably, you'd be driving for a while and be like, man, there are no kids around here. It'd be kind of a fruitless, you know what I mean? You waste a lot of time, in that van where you could just drive into more populated areas and
drive to town.
Yeah, exactly. Sit outside the country club down in Texas and find all the kids coming out of the country club.
And they have money.
Yeah, and they have money. So their parents are going to pay the ransom.
Pay the ransom.
If I'm a kid in rural Virginia, the parents might be like, good luck. It's one less mouth I have to worry about. So,
yep. And then if it wasn't that day, if it was a non-pool day, usually by about 10:30, we were on the road to the pool to be gone all day.
Yeah.
And so that was because very few times were we there every day. It is day on, day off, day on, day off. I guess my mother didn't want to be at the pool that much, but just enough to keep us happy.
Yeah, that was the nice thing. The pool that I belonged to, there was probably 2 or 3 families in the neighborhood that belonged to the same pool. So it just depended on who wanted to drive that.
Yes,
who was going to drive everybody because we couldn't ride our bikes there. It was a good 15-minute drive from our neighborhood to the pool, maybe even 20. I mean, it was not close by. It wasn't like in the neighborhood where you could walk to it. We didn't have a neighborhood pool. So it was just, whichever parent was going to be up and wasn't working that day. If somebody, had a stay-at-home mom and they belonged to the pool, they would just call around and be like, hey, I can fit however many kids in the car who wants to go to the pool. So yeah, that's how we would go to the pool in that case. But yeah, same thing. You would just get up and again, you say Pop-Tarts, of course. I was a cereal guy, but I would definitely crush some Pop-Tarts or toast because I knew how to make it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, it's not bragging. It was one of those things like, I can make toast.
Well, is that on your resume?
Do that. Yeah. I mean,
I can make toast.
I would make cinnamon toast. I would even get the cinnamon out and shake the cinnamon on it. Oh, yeah. I was like, that was the way to do it. And then, yeah, you would just sit and maybe watch the game shows, or if it were a Saturday, you'd go find your friends early. I was always playing baseball growing up. So Saturday, you always had a game Saturday morning usually. And then depending on when it was during the week, you would have a game at night. So my dad was one of these big proponents of, if you've got a game that night, you're not going to the pool because the pool's going to tire you out and you're not going to be able to play because you're going to be tired or whatever.
Not performing.
So like if I knew, because of course everybody's parent back then, I'm sure yours had the calendar pinned up somewhere in the house
on the refrigerator.
Have your schedule written on the calendar, so you'd be able to go and check and be like, okay, I got a game Tuesday night and Wednesday, and Thursday night, so I can't go to the pool those days. So I'm going to figure out something else to do, which to me it was dumb because if I didn't go to the pool, well, then I was just out like playing basketball with all my friends or something. I'm like, I was still
tiring yourself out.
You're still out in the sun for most of the day anyway. But I don't know. I guess swimming was way worse for you than doing anything else. So I was never allowed to go to the pool on days that I had games. I was kind of weird. But yeah, we would watch. Obviously, Price is Right was a big one. What were some of your other? I was a big Joker's Wild guy. I don't know why. I think I love that big giant handle that they would pull to do, Joker. They pull it and then it would come up the different cards. And, I always loved seeing them go Joker, and a triple when they got 3 Jokers in a row. I don't know why. That's always stuck with me. I love Joker's Wild. I couldn't tell you how they played other than they asked them trivia questions to be able to spin the wheel, but I don't remember other than getting 3 Jokers what the purpose of the game was. But I love that. I love that show.
I liked Card Sharks.
Oh, another good.
Where they line them out higher or lower, or lower.
And then when you would get an 8, you got to change that card.
Change that card.
Yep.
I like that one. And you have to go back a little bit, but I love the old school Wheel of Fortune. When you won, you went on a shopping spree.
Yes.
So you knew you had so much money, and they would have all those things set up in the set with price values, and you got to shop for it versus this whole, well, you won a trip or you won that. That was boring. The shopping on Wheel of Fortune is what I remember the best. Like, oh, what are they going to have on this one? And, oh, what can they afford? Oh, if you only had another $1,000, you could have gotten, the scooter in the back. But nope, you're the Johnny-come-lately who won at the end because the other guy screwed up, and you've got like $500 because you picked the one letter and solved the puzzle, and now you can't go shopping.
Yeah, well, or you would get like the mahogany tiger that was sitting out front, because that was the thing. People don't remember. You couldn't just be like, okay, I want, say if you won, I don't know, $5,000, let's just say. You couldn't take like, I want, give me the jet ski for $2,500 and that's it. No, you had to buy everything until you didn't have enough money to buy anything else because what would Pat always ask them? You've got $175 left. Do you want that on an account or a gift certificate? And you're like, I guess I'll take the gift certificate, Pat. I mean, I don't know what the gift certificate went to, but that's what you did. So, yeah, you had to buy all the crap that you didn't want until you didn't have enough money to buy
money left. Yes.
Yeah. And it was always some animal statue sitting there that would be like $300 or $400. And I'm like, who wants that in their house? That's awful.
And you got to pay taxes on it.
Like a giraffe or a lion. It was always something like safari-like thing. And I'm like, who wants that? That's awful.
And another one, there were so many game shows, like I said, Card Sharks, Wheel of Fortune. We talked about this earlier. It came later, and I don't know if we just missed it, but Pressure Luck.
Yeah.
No whammies. That's why I remember it. No whammies.
Yes. Pressure Luck was amazing. And I can remember and actually put this together because I knew we were going to be talking about game shows. Pressure Luck was awesome. And there was a guy, I don't know if you remember this, who broke the game.
Oh, that's right.
Broke the game. Like to the point, if you don't know this story, and I would think if you're Gen X, you got to remember, because they did a movie on it. They did a whole thing, a documentary. They did a whole thing. This guy, Michael Larson, who, when I show you the video, I want you to keep in mind, he's 35 when I show you this. Now, he'd been through some stuff. I think he was a single dad at the time because in the show, and it's not in the clip, but he talks about that the day before was his 6-year-old daughter's birthday. But I think he's a single dad. So he's been through some things. But you're going to look at him and you're going to be like, that dude's 35. Like, he looks like 55. He looks like he should be our age. I mean, it's brutal. But anyway, this guy, before I bring up the video, I'll explain it to you. This guy basically sat at home again, and he talked about it. It's not in this clip that I've got, but he talks about it on the show. You can find the entire episode on YouTube. It lasted 2 days. They had to do 2 separate days because he kept winning, because this guy would sit at home and watch Press Your Luck, and then while watching, it was like, hey, this thing's got a pattern to it. Yeah. And so he started taping it. And he had tape after tape after tape on old VCR tapes. And he figured out that there were only 5 random patterns that they used. So it's not random. He figured it out. And if you remember Press Your Luck, they had different squares that would be like $1,000 and another spin, $4,000 and a spin. They had all that stuff. Well, he figured out the pattern so he could just boop, boop, boop all day long and just get money in a spin, which is why it lasted 2 episodes, because this dude, his first spin, and I didn't clip it, but his first spin, he whammied.
Oh.
And you're like, okay. Like, if you're watching it, you're like, oh, that's bad.
That happens. Yep.
Well, he realized the timing of hitting, and he was a little off.
Okay.
It was just enough off that he hit the whammy, but hitting the whammy gave him be like, oh, now I know the timing. Now I got it. He never whammied again. 40-some spins in a row, statistically impossible. So here,
they had to be pulling their hair out.
I'm going to pull this up. This is in, I think, going into the second round now. In the first round, he did okay, but it wasn't overwhelming. He ended up with like, I don't know, 3,000 something. He was not in first place after round 1. This picks up halfway through the second round when he is just, I mean, annihilating this game.
He's locked in.
Look at that guy. First off, hold on. Look at him. He's 35. He's 35.
The world was a harder place back then, Bill.
I mean, this is 1984. The dude, does that look like a 35-year-old dude to you?
No.
He looks like he's a contemporary of ours right now. In fact, I think I would be like, I think I look a little bit better than him.
Very similar, because I saw this the other day. Going back, someone was pulling up old trading cards of football players.
Yeah.
And I saw this one, and it was Ken Stabler. Like, he was missing teeth and hair.
Of course.
And then you realize he's like 27.
Yeah.
So
look at old Terry Bradshaw.
Yes.
Cards from the 70s when he's still like late 20s, early 30s, and he looks like he should be your grandfather. Like, it's like, man, I didn't realize Bradshaw played that wrong. Well, he didn't. He looked like 14 years. But now the best one is, I think there's an old George Blanda who was in his late 40s when he was still kicking with the Raiders. And I mean, he's sitting on the literally the bench, the old metal bench that they had back in the day. And he's got it. It's cold, you can tell. And he's just sitting there with his helmet off, and he's kind of looking down, like his head's down. And you're like, yeah, that's a dude. He just wants a smoke and a drink, and get warm. It just looks brutal. Yeah, it's a great. I'm always like, yeah, I get it, Jordan. It looks miserable. But anyway, so you can see the board set up. So you see right at the top, and I wish there's a way for me to point to it, but there's really not. You see the whammy in the very top row in the middle.
Sort
and
of.
then next to it, it says 5,000 in a spin. So that's the one there. And then as you're looking at the screen, the right side, you'll see about halfway down, it says 750 in a spin.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones he keeps banging over and over again. He is a master.
Stop at 750 in the spin. $21,086. 6 spins, Michael.
Go again.
16,000 more than Jamie. Gonna go again.
Yeah.
Michael's going with $21,000.
just a
Preston
machine.
is stop! 5,000!
There it is.
Michael!
If you look,
1,086.
you see his mouth moving, like he's mouthing something probably to himself,
Well, he's
like
probably going
whatever.
1, 4, 6, 8, 1, 4, whatever the pattern was.
Yes.
He knew it. He had it. And it's funny because, and again, we're not going to go through all this, but we'll play a lot of it here so you can see. There's sometimes when they go, are you gonna see? Here's the thing: you see all the numbers on the screen. Like the one guy has 2, Larson in the middle has 6, the other lady has 3. Those are spins that you can keep or you can pass. So this dude's already way up. Like he could pass these spins because the jokers he's playing against are gonna whammy. It's hard to go on a run like that. Like nobody goes on this kind of run where it's like, again, 40 some spins in a row. But he's so confident. He's like, I'm not passing these. Why would I pass these?
Welcome to my world. I'm in charge here.
Yeah, he's like, you guys have no idea what I'm doing right now. So let's just watch a
Dollars,
little bit more here.
and you still have 6 spins.
Yeah.
Michael's goal, $26,000. Unbelievable.
It is.
What's happening?
It was the pattern.
Looking for more big bucks. Pressing.
He shook his head there because he missed one.
Stop! Pick a corner. 2250, 1,500 in a spin. $851.
So there.
Ooh, look at that.
That's his number. And look, the other guy whammied out. He's got $0. His last spin, he hit the whammy. The woman there on the right-hand side, you're looking at the screen, has $9,300, which, by the way,
Not bad.
that's a respectable amount.
Yeah.
In press your luck. Like she would be, most games, you'd be like, oh, this is going to be close. He's at 102, 851. Now look in the if you look on the screen there, he's got 3 spins he has to take. She probably passed them to him thinking,
He'll
this
whammy.
dude is on such a run. There's no way he's already had 40 some spins. There's no way he can get through this. But you don't know Michael Larson.
Serious jeopardy because Janie has just passed him 3 spins.
Oh.
Let's see if he can ward off our friend, the whammy. All right, Michael.
I didn't want him.
Can you handle
Let's
him?
do it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. 3 of them. 102,000, 200,000 and a spin. 106,851. 1 spin in the earn time. 3 more to go. Here we go. Oh, 106,851 on the line.
It's like, sure, man.
Stop at 750 and a spin. That means it's 107,601. 1 more spin you have to take, Michael, before we can deal with the earned spins. Here's the last one you must take.
And then he's like,
$101. A trip to the Bahamas.
Trip to the
For
Bahamas.
that money, you can buy the Bahamas, Michael. 2,636. You're at 110,000. 237. They go to you, Janie. 2 pass. 1 at a time. Here they come.
Bye, Janie.
That was surprising to me when I going back and watch this because I'm like, this dude is on such a monster roll. But then you're reading interviews later, he was exhausted at this point. Because again, this is over
The intensity.
2 episodes. This went on for so long that he was just like, I'm over. I can't keep going at this point. So he passed him off to this.
Janie, 93.85.
Come on, big bucks.
You got a
Come
long
on.
way to go, Janie.
Come on. Stop.
Stop at $750. All right. Hold everything. You're at 10,135, Janie. Michael is at 110,237. To say the least, you will have to get something that gives you an additional spin in order to stay in this game and continue because CBS will relinquish its entire daytime schedule for this show to go on if you keep going. Are you ready, Janie? Is it Michael going to hold on to that 110,000? Let's see, Janie. Stop at a Mexican cruise. What's the difference?
He's happy. He's just like,
We'll be back. We'll be back sometime.
I mean, 110 grand.
which was a lot back then.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I never saw the
300,000.
documentary or the interview. So my question to you,
Yes.
did they talk about when did the producers figure it out?
Oh.
Because obviously there was a break in
During
production.
the show.
Okay.
During the show, the people that were running the control room were like, hold on a second. Like, there's no, like, because I'm sure, look, if you were on the staff of that game show, wouldn't you fire up the board every now and then and be like, let's see how well
That's how it works.
I'm sure you've probably sat there and tried to win it. Ah, man, No, they called the head of CBS
Okay.
in the middle of the show and said, hey, look, this dude, he ain't missing. We can't figure out what he's doing, but he ain't missing. And the CBS people are like, nah, you got unless you have some way to prove. And how could he be cheating? That's the thing. You go and look on some of the YouTube videos, and it's like, oh, Michael Larson cheats pressure lock. He didn't cheat.
He figured out the pattern.
Cheat. So they let him go, and this was filmed. It actually was shown June 8th and 11th.
Okay.
In 1984. So again, it was over 2 days. It was a Friday and a Monday. Over 2 days that they showed this because it took so long for him to go through things. So it was filmed, though, I think it was March. I think they filmed that far ahead, maybe. So it was taped, filmed, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So as they were looking at it, they went and they tried to figure out if he was cheating or not. And they could not find a way that he was cheating. So they ended up paying him all his money. And the guy from CBS was just like, look, this wasn't a matter of him cheating. This was a matter of Michael Larson being smarter than the people at CBS.
Yeah.
And then after that, they did 27 different patterns instead of just the 5.
Well, that's why I figured like during the show and maybe right after, they had to be internally going, which one of you was involved? Because this statistically can't happen. And, what was their, breakdown to figure out, oh, okay, there was patterns and who got their hand slapped because what do you mean you only put 4 or 5 patterns in the system?
Well, they probably figured no one
would get it.
No one had ever done. Like, who's going to sit? Like, who's going to memorize? Who's going to recognize that there's patterns? And then who's going to sit and memorize it and then get on the game?
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing. That's fine.
You still had to get there.
There may have been 30 other Michael Larsons out there. He pawned a bunch of stuff to be able to get to California to then try out for the game. But even at that point, because he talked about that when they asked him, coming out here, he's like, well, I pawned a bunch of stuff to be able to come out here to try out for the game. And then I forget the host's name goes, well, yeah, I heard you didn't even have a shirt. And he goes, yeah, I went to a thrift store at 69 cents. Bought his shirt because he didn't have a shirt and tie for the show. So that's what he did. I mean, it's a crazy, wild story. But yeah, they were just like, he's not cheating. How could he be cheating? Like, there's no way for him to be cheating because he's just hitting a button.
Yeah. It's all reaction time. And that's why, I figured internally they were going, someone's involved in this, right?
Yeah.
You would have to think that one of you, if you're looking at the employees of the show, one of you was in on this. And obviously not, but that's where you'd want to start.
Well, I guess my question was, how would you be in on it? How would you be able? I mean, like, how are you stopping? Like, he's stopping it. So how are you in on it?
I guess the first question would be, was he really stopping it, or is one of you who are running the game aiding? You know what I mean? Because we can see his hand, but that would be my first inclination: is someone's electronically helping him that knows this game.
Yeah, maybe.
Right?
Maybe, yeah.
But there's also, what was it? There was a guy on Price is Right.
Yeah.
Who memorized all the prices.
Yes.
Right? He watched it long enough, wrote it down, knew the ranges. Now, like you said, he still had to get into the studio. He still had to get called down front to be put in that position. But I think it was sort of the same thing. They were like, this guy's like dead on. Like, he just knew. Right. It wasn't like he was thinking. He just said, nope, that is $4.99.
Yep.
And they were kind of astounded till they talked to him afterwards. And it was the whole, I've just watched it long enough. I kept a handwritten database, I think it was at that time.
No, he did Excel spreadsheets.
He did Excel. Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Couldn't remember if it was before that or not, but he
was
had all the data.
No, it was
new.
It was after, because this was with Drew Carey.
Oh, it was Drew Carey. Okay.
It was with Drew Carey because there's famous. You can go online and watch it because Drew Carey thinks he's cheating. He thinks there's something up because he nails that final bid, and Carey's just like, he thought we're all in trouble. You talk to Drew Carey about it. He's thinking, oh my God, somebody's been feeding him this stuff. We're all done because he thinks there's something that's not on the up and up. So you see Drew Carey go, yeah, the final price, and he reads it off, and he's like, you've won both showcases, and Carey's just like, You know, you
Okay.
can just state like, oh my God. And he said, I thought we were done. I thought we were in trouble. But no, it's just this guy just spreadsheet because they did repeat prizes and everything else.
All the time.
You can go back and find there was another guy, and I watched a clip. It's funny that you brought that up. I didn't watch that Price is Right one, but I saw another one where a guy nailed it. Like walked up, saw the price, and Barker's like, okay, because he was the first guy. The first guy, when you first come up, you get the first bid. Not of the first four, but after somebody goes up and then they fill up contestants row and they go, oh, okay, Joe, come on down. Well, Joe always has to bid first. Well, he made the bid and he's watching and he like you said, immediately made the bid. And Barker's like, that was quick. And he's like, oh, I've seen this before. It's this much. And Barker's kind of like, okay. Like, you know, and he's going on to other people. And then he stops, and I forget what it was. I don't know, blender. I don't know if it was a blender or whatever, but the guy nailed it. But Barker's like, you know, there's more than one kind of blender or whatever it is. And he goes, no, Bob, that's that. He goes, that's that one, and it's this price. And sure enough, as soon as all the bids are in, it dings. And Bob Barker goes, well, somebody got it right. And the guy's like just sitting there shaking his head like, it's me. I did it. And sure enough, Barker opens up the envelope and is like, you got it. And I mean, he was, Bob Barker was thrilled. He did a great job with any of that stuff. But yeah, Drew Carey was like, something's up. He's just like, this ain't it.
Right. But he knew like something's wrong. And what was his first inclination? Something is internally feeding him or cheating with him. So, and that would have been my first inclination too with the other guy. Like, there's something here. Someone's helping him.
Right. But the sad thing is this guy was, again, kind of a get rich quick scheme guy all the time. And it worked for this. It worked for Pressure Luck. But he went back and then got into some like multi-level marketing thing and like ripped off like thousands of people. And then was like wanted by the police. So he fled to Florida from Ohio. And unfortunately, he died in like 1999, still on the run. I mean, it was a whole thing. But so kind of a sad ending for the guy who was like a legend. Like, again, at 35, he doesn't look 35. He's like just a guy in small town Ohio that went.
Trying to make it.
That went, I got it. Maybe he was on the spectrum. I don't know.
Possibly.
People have weird tics like that when, like they just figure stuff out for whatever reason. They just can see something and go, oh, I know exactly what that is. And you're like, how do you know that? Like, how did you figure that out?
Yeah.
And listen, I don't know.
And it happened close to here is the couple. Well, they were from Michigan, but they were playing the Massachusetts lottery. He was a math teacher. And he just figured out the math that said, oh, if we just do this and keep buying all these tickets, we'll win. Right. And it went on for a couple years. And the funny part was, I remember the story, but not only in the movie, Massachusetts Lottery was like, yeah, so what? We want people to win. That was their attitude.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, that was the thing. And I think this was maybe the Virginia lottery, or maybe it was one of the first national lotteries that there was. I can't remember, but an Australian syndicate got to get figured out when the prize gets to a certain amount, you can buy up all the combinations and it won't cost you as much
as the win.
As the win. Like, it'll be cheaper to buy up all the combinations. You'll end up making money plus all the other smaller prizes that you're going to happen when it hits. And then they did it, and then they ended up putting in a rule somehow that you can't do that anymore. I don't remember what it was, but I specifically remember. See, now I'm gonna have to look it up. Do you not remember that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Actually, I don't, but I'm sure they want to keep that hush hush too.
Well, no, I mean, it was a whole big thing. Let me see. And I distinctly remember them being from Australia. Yeah, here you go. Australian Syndicate's Virginia lottery win. So I did remember that. It was in 1992. An Australian gambling syndicate purchased the majority of combinations in the Virginia lottery. They won They invested $5 million and won $27 million.
Whoa, that's a nice little return.
Yeah. So they basically went through and bought all the thing. I don't know why it says a majority. No, they bought, from what I remember, they bought all of them. So yeah, they had to print computer generated tickets with each unique combination, then ship them to Virginia. So they did it again in Australia somehow, because 1992, there's no internet. I wouldn't think that you could do that.
No, not then.
Yeah, I wouldn't think. So February 15th, 1992, one of the tickets that they bought, I guess actually it says they fell slightly short of every single combination, but they managed to get 5 million different ones.
Wow.
And they ended up winning the $27 million jackpot, plus picking up another $900K in smaller winnings from tickets that, 4 matches, 3 matches, all that kind of stuff. And that's when they got investigated, and that's when the rules changed. So and it says, in the wake of their victory, Virginia and many other states implemented new regulations to prevent similar bulk purchases in the future. These changes often included restrictions on the number of tickets one person could purchase, or prohibits against using automated systems to print tickets for mass buying.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I can't remember if that one happened after the Michigan family with the Massachusetts lottery, but that was part of the thing. They would have to make the drive and physically go buy the ticket. They found a store, worked it out, and they would just sit there for like 2 or 3 days before that drawing, and just because of the time, it's
right. It takes, you got to print them all out, and
you got to print them all out, and they would spend 2 or 3 days printing all these tickets, and then go back home and wait for the results, and then pour through their tickets looking to see if they hit the rollover, because there was a whole thing about money rolling over,
right?
And he knew if it rolled over to a certain point, then that was the time to go do it.
Buy it, because you could cover the combinations of the tickets. I mean, that's why I'm surprised. Although I guess it makes sense, because if they've got the rules in place. But like when the Powerball gets up to like $1 billion, like, are there more combinations? Because I know the Powerball is up to what, 69 is the highest number. I don't remember what the highest number is of Powerball. And then you got to hit the Powerball as well. So maybe there's enough combinations that you wouldn't get to it. But I always thought, I'm like, once it gets there, why wouldn't you just give it a shot? But you run the big risk of, if you have to cover hundreds of millions of dollars. First off, I don't think you could ever print out that many tickets in that amount of time.
Yes.
The second thing is, if you split it, you're screwed.
Correct.
Like, lost.
That was always a hitch too that they talked about in some of these, where we'll buy as many as possible. Well, if there's a chance that you split it, you've shot yourself in the foot.
And that's why these guys, I mean, they spent $5 million to win 27. So even if you split it 3 ways, you're still coming out ahead. So that was pretty good. But yeah, I remember that, because again, it was 1992, and I was just like, God, that's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? And I was like, well, it wouldn't matter. I don't have $5 million
to put up.
So it wouldn't have mattered. So
yeah.
So yeah, that was, I mean, again, good on Michael Larson for pulling that off on Pressure Luck. But they were sweating it and called the CBS guy, and they're just like, should we stop in the middle of taping? They're like, no. Because again, what do you do if you stop it and he wasn't cheating? Because then he's suing the network. I mean, then he owns the network at that point, because he's just going to sue you. And then after that, they put into place, you could only win X amount of dollars. When they came back with, what was it? Whammy was the reincarnation of it later on.
Yeah.
When they brought it back, and that was limited to 75K was the most that you could win. So yeah, he went over their champion limit, whatever it was. I don't remember exactly what the limit was, but in one day. Because that's what the host at the end of it is saying. Well, Michael, you're a retired champion, and you've won more than anybody, and you only did it in a day. That kind of thing. Sorry, buddy, you ain't coming back. Because he could have. I mean, if they never figured it out, just think about that. If they didn't have the rule that you could have, career winnings of whatever, and they're like, if like it was Ken Jennings on Jeopardy who won like what 74 straight games or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, if he just came back day after day after,
kept hitting the button,
he never would have lost until they figured out, like, maybe we should add more patterns to this thing because this guy just doesn't miss. I would think every once in a while. I mean, again, he didn't do it that day, except for the first one. And I think that was a timing thing to be like, okay, now I got you.
Right, because that's going to be far different than knowing the pattern is your reaction to it displaying on the board, the translation from button to the board.
So give him credit in real time to be like, I got you now. Okay.
Yep.
I got it. But yeah, could you imagine if they're like, all right, he's coming back tomorrow. And you'd be like, well, everybody you better settle in.
We're going to be here.
When Mr. Larson gets to the board, we're going to be here a while. So just sit back and relax because here we go. I mean, I would think you would have to, like, every first round, you'd have to hit a win. Like, where the whammies are coming up. So you'd have to be like, nah, you know what? I'm going to give one.
I'm going to give one.
I got to give one here just so it doesn't look ridiculous. Like maybe hit 5,000 in a spin to start it off and maybe hit another one and then be like, I know I can build it back up. I'll go ahead and whammy. Oh, darn. And then he just resets and just trounces through it again. Like, I don't know, man. I hit that whammy in the first round, but I feel good. He even says it as he's doing it. The host is like, you're on an incredible run. He goes, I'm just feeling it. I'm like, yes, you are. You are feeling it. It was great. So
he had to feel so good inside sitting there. Like once he figured out the timing, now I've got this. And like you said, he eventually got tired, but those first couple minutes, he just had to be like, dude, yeah, I'm in charge.
I watched the whole 45 minutes of this thing today. And because I wanted to pull certain clips from it. So I got, when he got on the little run there, the heater that he went on and just how giddy he looked.
Yeah.
At first, like the other contestants are just like, man, like you could see him just like, God, this guy's not missing. Like
I can't even get in.
Yeah, they're like, this is amazing. Like he's going on this run, but you could also see like they're like, it's not gonna last. Like he's running it up, and like again, as we showed you, he's at like 20, 30,000, and it's like, we're going. You're like, no way, man. I'm getting rid of these. I'm passing these spins. I'm not pressing my luck, as the show would say. No, he was like, I got it. I'm going. And then they go from just being like kind of annoyed, like, I can't believe I'm getting run, to being like, this is amazing. Like you just see him like, at one point you see both of them just like accept the fact that they're not going to win. And there's like, now I'm a part of it. We're along for the ride. Let's go. This is amazing. And the host was the same way. He was just like, you're incredible. And he's like, yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going.
Amazing. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, that was one of my favorite. Of course, because you love the whammies. They would come, Michael Jackson,
little figures,
moonwalking out and taking all of your money and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was fun. Those are probably. I loved $25,000, and then it became $100,000 pyramid. Love the pyramid, but you know why I love pyramid? Dick Clark.
Yes.
When Donny Osmond did it, and I like Donny Osmond, it wasn't the same.
No,
it wasn't Dick Clark.
That's why Dick Clark's the legend, right? They're just certain guys, as we said, Bob Barker, Wink Martindale. Some of these guys were just
Bob Eubanks. We talked about Eubanks a couple
right?
Weeks ago.
They were just built for the job.
Yeah,
they were just great people. They were built for the job because I don't know. They generally want to see people have good things happen to them, and that's what And I'm just the host facilitating this.
Yeah,
and just good people.
I don't know if I've talked about this. I think I might have talked about it on the show. I did a thing because Dick Clark had his whole thing outside of Dick Clark Productions. He had a whole other thing that was kind of like multi-level marketing, to be honest with you. It was one of those things. But I remember I had a friend. This was, I want to say, maybe just out of college. But I had a friend of mine that worked for them.
Mm-hmm.
Clark's people, and they were doing like their gold circle diamond club, whatever it was in DC.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're having their, Tupperware, whatever it was that he sold, I don't remember now, meeting to honor all these people here in DC. So she asked me, she said, would you come and basically read off be the voice of God during their ceremony stuff. And I was like, are you serious? It's like, absolutely. I still, in a box somewhere in my mom's house, probably in her attic or basement or whatever, have the contract because it talked about working for Dick. I was like, I got to keep this. I'm not throwing this contract out, even though, once I got paid, I was like, well, what do I need this for? I kept it because it's got Dick Clark on it. I got to keep this. So I had to sit there and be like, from Boston, Massachusetts, Mr. and Mrs. James Dean, or whatever the name was, and they would come walking out, and hey, everybody, they'd wave, and I'd have to wait for them to go up the stage, and then be like, from Laurel, Maryland, Mr. and Mrs. Steve Kerr, whatever it was, and he'd be like, Mr. and Mrs. Steve Kerr would come out. I did that for like a half hour, reading off name after. I felt like I was doing a high school graduation. And they all come out and wave, and then the best part was I got to do, ladies and gentlemen, here is your host of the event, Mr. Dick Clark. And of course, he comes out on stage, he's waving. I was like, I can't believe I just got to introduce Dick Clark. This is unbelievable.
Did he come over and hug you?
He did not come over and hug me. I did get to kind of wave to him from as they were packed. I didn't get to meet him. If I pushed it, I probably could have. But we were in the back, set up on this little riser thing so that we could see like the stage, everything in this big giant ballroom. And after the event was done, we're cleaning everything up. People are all up there shaking hands. The girl that had hired me came over. She's like, oh my God, you did an awesome job. She's like, I'm so happy. She goes, that was fantastic. She goes, you did everything we wanted you to do. And I was like, awesome. I said, great. I said, whenever you need me, if you ever do this again, I'd love to do it. And as we're picking up stuff and, walking out, we walked down the side of one part of the ballroom, and Dick Clark is still up on stage with a couple of his people. And we're walking out the back, and he's maybe 30, 40 feet from me. And she says something not to Dick Clark, but somebody up on the stage. Like one of, I guess, her boss, maybe. She's like, hey, Jerry, whatever his name was. She's like, I'm going to go, if you need anything else. And he goes, no, this was great. Appreciate it. And then he points at me, goes, great job. And Dick Clark just waves. Didn't say anything to me, but I did get the point and wave. And I was like, you the man, Dick.
I've arrived.
You the man. Yeah, I was just arrived. Right. Dick Clark waved at me. So I've shaken hands with Frank Sinatra, and Dick Clark waved at me. I don't know if it gets any better than that.
No, I'd say that's quite the checklist.
I never met like Bob Eubanks or Wink Martindale or anybody like that, but that's Dick Clark. It's pretty good.
America's teenager.
Yeah, exactly. I have to look. I wonder what it was that he did. I'll have to look that up because I don't remember what the company was. But I was just like, because I remember when she called and asked me, I was like, Dick Clark's involved in that kind of stuff? Like, that doesn't,
Oh, it wasn't Amway.
That's it. No, it was, I don't remember. Something weird. I can't remember now. But anyway, so yeah, there's the game show.
There we go.
That's as close as I ever got. Have you ever been on a game show? Have you ever wanted to try out?
Game show, no, but back in high school, I was the captain of our Battle of the Brains team.
Oh, so was on the academic up here.
Yes, Battle of the Brains in Richmond, Virginia. It's academic up in DC. Yep. So that was my brush with television fame, if you will, of participating in a game style show.
But that's cool because you had a buzzer, right?
Yes.
Nice. How'd you guys?
And I was, we lost because we were playing. Look, we were a small rural high school, and we were going up against one of the big brainy trusts from Richmond. Right. So for us, it was, well, who wants to do this? Whereas those kids
tried out,
and legacies, and all, for us, it was, I'll do it. I'll show up. I know that you can ride a bull for 8 seconds. I think that was the one question which I hadn't practiced and was on the show. But the rest of my teammates, from what I remember watching it, like, I'm just relaxed, like, hey, we're here to have a good time, and they're all like,
oh no,
like Cindy Brady, when she finally got in front of the camera, like,
yep.
I'm like, you guys are going to help me? Am I the only one trying here?
Oh, that was it's academic team at Edison. I didn't try out for it because I was a dummy in high school. But I knew all the people that were on it. I think they did okay. But I also just remember being like some of the stuff that they missed. I'm just like, oh, like, come on. You guys are dumb. But I wouldn't. But then that's what they got. I'm like, all right, I wouldn't have known that.
They could split atoms.
It's all, it's all the same. I go and do trivia with some old high school friends. I'll have to ask if I don't think any of them were on the It's Academic team. But we go play trivia, and I'm always stunned because when I go and play, they're always like, "Oh, thank God you're here. We'll have a shot at getting a lot of the sports questions right." And I'm like, "Okay, maybe." I mean, it just depends. I don't know a lot about whatever fencing because they'll like, oh, fencing. I'm like, fencing. I don't know it. I'm like, it's not really a sport. I mean, it is, but it's not. Like, there's no fencing chat. Like, nobody's breaking down fencing. Like, that's not a thing.
Oh, it is a thing if you watch. Yes, if you look in the right places.
Yes, but that's not going to be on Monday Night Trivia. Like, you wouldn't think like I need to study up on my fencing. But they'll know stuff that I'm like, how do you even know that? Like, why would you have that knowledge? But I get the same thing. Like, Carrie will do the same thing to me when I'll know something, whether it's sports related or just. And I tell her all the time, I have no knowledge that is useful in the world at all, but I have tons of useless knowledge, like knowing Michael Larson winning $110,000 on pressure luck. Because she goes, "How do you even know that?" I'm like, who doesn't know that? Who doesn't remember? Like, who doesn't remember 110,000 on pressure luck? Who doesn't remember perfect bid on Price is Right? Who doesn't? I mean, like, of course. But she's always like, I don't remember. Because I asked her, I said, "Do you remember that?" And she's like, no.
She was at the country club in the pool.
They didn't watch that. Yeah, they weren't watching pressure luck. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm always impressed with how well people do at those trivia games. Although there's a lot of cheating that goes on as well.
Well, now it's a whole thing, right? Back in the day, game shows were just people getting on because they're in California and we're going to try this out.
Yeah, you're visiting.
And I don't know, somewhere along the line, I know it became professionalized where people would study up things. And, if you read about a lot of the people on Jeopardy, they do a lot of research to be prepared to get on the show. Yeah. And then I know other games people talked about, well, I did this and that. And it's a whole thing now. It's, as I said, it's more professionalized of how can we get on there and how can we do this? And
right.
I remember seeing there was classes because they want you to be bubbly. They want you to be this fantastic character for TV. Yeah. So they were training you up on how to appear on camera to be on a game show. And that just takes the fun out of it.
You have to do that now because everybody's got a camera. Everybody's got a podcast. Look at us. Yes. This is what we're doing. Yeah, you watch some of those clips from whether it's Price is Right or in this case Pressure Luck, and they all are like, as I call it, seal clapping because they're like, yeah. I mean, they're like, I'm losing by $100,000,
but I'm on TV.
You go. This is great. It's like, no, you're pissed because you're getting drug on national TV by some dude who just is like, autistic enough to remember 5 patterns. That's that's all it is. So anyway, there you go. All right. Anything else? We've done well over an hour here.
Wow. We went from what to do in the summertime to game show
I know
trivia. So
it goes all over the place.
We covered a lot.
It's kind of like your Gen X summer, though. I mean, it's what it was,
yes.
Right? You would be at the pool, you'd be at your job, you do whatever, you watch some Pressure Luck. It shows the same way.
Yeah,
that's a typical summer day for us when we were growing up.
We were free ranging.
Yeah, you'd go out to the pool, you'd come home, you do this, you do that, you get up next morning, you watch a little Price is Right, watch a little Pressure Luck, a whole smorgasbord of the summer. So There you go. So what do you got here before we get out? Anything?
Oh, I was just gonna say, here's to summer. It's the season of bad decisions and great stories for later on.
This concludes this episode of Gen X Men with Bill Rowland and Gary Dollarhite. Gen X Men is now off the air.